Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Another Set of Eyes with today's Excel Bytes blog post. Recently I had a request to create a single formula that can be copied down through thousands of rows that will determine if each student completed a varying number of components of a project. We're going to use several functions to accomplish this, so let's see how this is going to work in Excel. So here is our scenario. As you can see, I have a list here of 8 different students: Judy, Tim, Ed, Larry, etc. And each one has a project that has different number of components. Judy's 3, Tim 2, Ed 5, etc. And in column C will indicate whether they have or have not completed each part of that. And then in column D, I want this to show a yes when all the components are completed. In addition, we have a little chart in columns G and H that will identify, just in a single list, when each student has completed all the components of their project. Here we just use a simple VLOOKUP. So in this case we look up G2, which is Judy, in this range from A2 down to D30, and return whatever in column 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's column D, and ask for an exact match. So when the items in column D become a yes, this will return a yes here and give me a summary in my VLOOKUP table here. But the question is, how did we create this formula? Now you can see we used various functions in Excel. We used if, and, indirect, match, and COUNTIF to accomplish this. Also notice the curly brackets around the formula, so that indicates that this is an array formula. And an array formula must use Control Shift and Enter to enter it, not just enter. So let's take a look at the construction of this formula. In essence, what I've done is taken an if function with an and function to say that if and this whole range equals yes, then give me a yes. If not, no. So basically, if I have a formula equals if and the logical test is C2 to C4 equals yes, that's my and function, then give me a yes. If not, then give me a no. Now if I just hit enter, it's going to give me a no. If all 3 of these are yes, I'll get a yes there. But if these 2 are turned to no, I still get a yes, because it's only looking really at the last entry there instead of looking at the whole range. And that is why we need to enter this with Control Shift Enter, so that it's going to look at the whole range to see. So if we take a look at our AND function here, I'll hit F9, and you can see it turns out to be false because not all 3 are true. If instead I make these all yes, this turns to yes, and if we look at our AND function here again, and I hit F9, you can see it's true because all 3 are true. They're all yes. So then what we needed to do was create a dynamic way when we drag down this formula of creating this range C2 to C4. In here it's going to be C5 and 6. In this group it needs to be C7 to C11, etc. And we need to do that dynamically. So in order to do that, we're going to use the indirect function, the match function, and the COUNTIF function. So if we take a look at the formula in cell D2 and we look at the indirect function, what's my reference text? I hit F9 and you can see it's C2 to C4. If I go down to cell D7, look in my indirect function, my reference text is C7 to C11. So let's see how we built that. Notice in the indirect function, I take C, concatenate that with a match function, concatenate that with a colon, again with a C, and a match and COUNTIF functions to build the second half of that range. So my match function here takes a look at A7, which is ed, tries to match it with A1 to A30 and gives an exact match. So if I hit F9, I get a 7. This match function is really the identical one. I take a look at ed, match it from A1 to A30 with an exact match. I'll hit F9, and again I get a 7. But to that I want to add the COUNTIF function. The COUNTIF function counts the number of times ed appears in this range. So if I hit F9, it gives me a 5. So in essence, with the indirect function, I'm concatenating C7 colon C 7 plus 5. But if I just keep it 7 plus 5, it gives me the 7 from the starting point, adds 5 to the COUNTIF, that'll take me to 12, so I need to subtract 1. So that'll give me 7 plus 5, 12, minus 1 will give me an 11. So in essence, what I've created here in my indirect formula is C7 colon C11. And if I take and look at that indirect function, again, hit the reference text, F9, I get C7 to C11. So the indirect function then converts that to the specific range and not just a text string. So now we have the if function that says if and C7 to C11 equals yes, give me a yes. If not, give me a no. And that's how we built that dynamic range. The last step was just using some conditional formatting so that when all three of these were yes, it formatted all the cells in dark green background with white lettering. So if we click on any one of these cells, go to conditional formatting, manage rules, and we say edit rule, we can see formatting cell value equal to yes, format it in this fashion. So when all three of these in column D turned into yes, it would then format them accordingly. And I use the same conditional formatting here so that when that turned to yes, I would get again the dark green background with the white lettering. So the result of this is anytime all of the components of one of the students' projects is completed and they're all marked as yes, I'll get a yes here and a yes in this table. If any one of them is a no, none of them will be yes, and again the table will reflect accordingly. And that's how we accomplished this task. And there you have it. I hope you like what you see. If you do like what you see here, please take a minute to share this post on your favorite social network. I can be found on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I hope you enjoy this. If you'd like to see more, please feel free to stop by my website, excel-bytes.com, and I hope you subscribe. So have a great day and happy excelling.